G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Fon Supercoach. Today we will be reviewing Gather Round and we'll be starting to talk about some upgrades. So let's get into it. I should start here actually. 2,176 for the week. I had thought that this was going to be a pretty poor week for me, but once it opened, I'd only lost about 90 ranks, so I was pretty okay with that. Had a fair bit of carnage, had halfbacks who didn't kick goals at Norwood, yada, yada, yada. I can complain about Norwood in a sec. So let's get into it. I'll start in defence. So Zorko and Dale on Norwood, this ground is so bad for halfbacks. So we saw Sinclair and Wanganeen Millera. I think Sinclair just went over 100. He kicked 1 goal and then Nas kicked 3. So I think that's the only way a halfback can actually score at that ground. I know Whitfield had a quiet game. There's just no space. So these players that rely on a lot of more uncontested game tend to struggle to score. Zorko did have a period where he scored quite heavily, he then went missing in the fourth quarter, which was pretty frustrating. It is worth noting with Zorko that I think these massive standard scoring from Zorko, these massive normal scores are gone. The Lions are using Jasper Fletcher a lot more out of halfback. That's a role change that's happened after about round 3, I think, so going into round 4. It's pretty frustrating. It's hurting Zorko's scoring a lot, and I'm wondering if Zorko needs more competitive games to actually score well, where he'll be required to use the ball. Has Collingwood this week. Collingwood give most teams a shake, so hoping for that this week. And then Dale, yes, same with Zorko really. Bramble got a lot of ball this week, which is really frustrating because why would you want Bramble kicking instead of Dale? Just doesn't make sense to me. But there was some commentary that Dale was getting attention. I don't think this is the case, but maybe there was something that I didn't notice that was happening there. Sorry about that. So yeah, that was Dale, and then Roberts. Bice is definitely impacting Roberts. I think the role is good enough that, what did he start at? Like 435. I'm willing to hold Roberts till he's bye because I don't think he's going to average worse than 81 or 2 really in this role. I think he had a poor game anyway. He just started really slowly, had a few clangers. Normally he's very efficient, but yeah, had a bunch of clangers. So I'm pretty happy with Roberts as is for now. And then Bice, he was really good. Not much to say about Bice. Like Bice, Reed and Trainer have just become the most unbelievably good rookies. I remember at the start of the season, I was like, I really don't want to field anyone at D6, whereas now I've got 3 defenders that I'm sort of looking to field each week. I presume I won't field Trainer this week, but, we'll see how we go. Then prior, there was a period of time where Essendon had a lot of switching across the ground where he was just off for, so missed a heap of points there. Thought this was a little bit unders anyway, to be honest, but yeah, he was fine. I'm hoping that he starts scoring a bit more. Break even starting to get high. West Coast this week. Hopefully a good score to kick start that cash gen. And Zach Reed 104. He's a really good player. Good to see him get a proper run at it. And yeah, he looks terrific. So well done, Zach. Tom Stewart. Oh my goodness, this pick's been so unlucky. You can't have all the luck. I've been very lucky with Cherry and Rankin. I should have started both of those players, but I've been bailed out of it by a corked calf for Rankin and then a hamstring injury for Cherry. Now, Rankin does have soft tissue history, so that's whatever. But yeah, Cherry, not so much. So, I don't know. You can't get all the luck. Tom Stewart's been pretty unfortunate, but definitely a good upgrade target. Maybe not this week, but next week, definitely. Then Trainer 80, just gets it done. Really, really good player. I think teams should have picked him up a lot higher than, I think he went 21 in the draft. So yeah, he was really good. Then let's get into the midfield. Skip Brayshaw, how good was that? 155. Just pretty much everything he touched turned to gold. Kicked a goal, I think. He was terrific. They said just before the bounce that McIntosh was eyeing off Sarong. So if you had Sarong, that's probably pretty unlucky. I don't think McIntosh affected Sarong that much, I will say. I think he just had a poor game, which is pretty rare for Sarong. So if you had the captaincy on Caleb, that is very unlucky. But for me, hearing that, being a non-Sarong owner and a Brayshaw captain, I was pretty rapt to hear that at the start of the game. Jordan Dawson, 60, heaps of clangers, 5-day break, looks a little bit sore. I'm not too worried about this. He's going to, he played on Thursday, he plays on Saturday now, so that's a 7 to 8 day break. He'll bounce back. Will he get Bedford this week? I would imagine that Bedford starts on Rankin, but probably goes to Dawson at some point. I think both Rankin and Dawson will get thrown forward to counteract Bedford, so we'll see. Maybe the Giants don't even tag based on that. Who knows? Chera was sold against West Coast. Every midfielder is beating up on West Coast, so that's not surprising. Petrarca, 96, so close to raising the bat with a ton, but yeah, I don't know. Mr. Sitter in front of goal, still heaps of forward time. I saw him walking to the goal square at the first centre bounce of the game, and I just had my head in my hands. So Melbourne's going to get flogged this week by Fremantle, as we always do. So probably not going to be a good score this week either. But it has West Coast and Richmond after that, which they're looking like the only two teams that Melbourne can beat at the moment. So fingers crossed as a supporter that we do that, and as a Petrarca owner, because he will score better in those games. Worth noting that if there is a coaching change, I expect Petrarca to be playing a lot more on ball. I think the first thing a coach generally does is just put players in their best positions, and I think Petrarca's a capable forward, but he is a better midfielder, and I am still of the belief that Melbourne needs him in the midfield. But anyway, enough about Melbourne. Oliver was fine, got a bit of Setterfield attention. He's definitely not the old Clayton Oliver, but I think he's good enough to give us 105 still, so he's going to hold through to his bye. Lindsay was managed quite a bit and started slow. I presume his tog will pick up a little bit this week, and again, Melbourne probably going to get flogged. The score may not be great. The following weeks, the fixture opens up a bit. So, yeah, he should give us some good scores. Sardis, I was listening to Brad Scott before the game. It sounds like he wasn't quite ready for gather rounds, so he should play this week. I did on Twitter post trades that I had made just before Thursday night's game. They were O'Driscoll and Sardis out for Clay Hall and Sicily. After watching James Jordan get absolutely smoked by Nick Dacos, I decided to reverse this trade because I wouldn't have enough money for Nick Dacos this week. Bit of a spoiler with our trade plans, but I presume everyone's doing the same trades this week anyway. But yeah, that's why I kept Sardis. And then Nevitt, pretty disappointing. I hope he holds this week, but I'm not sure that he will. And I am honestly ready to cull him with just for the fact that Chris Scott's his coach and I can't be bothered dealing with the shenanigans. Murray's made some errors, but doubt he gets dropped on the back of that nice Port Adelaide win. I think he's capable of scoring 50s anyway, so he should be all right. And then Clay Hall got banished to the wing in the fourth quarter and did not score. I am concerned he will not hold his spot, but we'll see. Apparently Tim Kelly was tagged in the waffle, but I feel like after West Coast had the worst contested game recorded since, I think, 2000 when they started recording those. That was the worst contested game. So there's going to be changes to that midfield. Clearly, they can't just roll out all the kids, even though Tom Gross, who we'll speak about later, was very good. But yeah, that's just unfortunate. I think Hall loses his spot. What's his break even? -8. I don't know. Maybe he comes on a sub and makes us a couple grand more. Henderson, 13. I don't know. I think he loses his spot this week. Melbourne needs speed. So I think Sharp probably has him covered in that respect. I don't think Henderson's been bad, just very limited opportunities in a very bad Melbourne side. So, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll discuss this week. I'm going to look to trade him because I have not many rookies I want to cull. So, yeah, we'll cash him in. Gorn, 145. I don't know if Brian going down in the first 10 minutes assisted this. You would have thought that Gorn would beat Brian anyway, but reducing that to a 1v1 ruck setup was definitely good for Gorn, I think. So yeah, 145 is really good. Good to see these scores come out for Max. Hopefully the rest of the team can be inspired by his performances and show up. That'd be nice. Anyway, enough about Melbourne. Tom De Koning, 118. You would like him to cash in on those matchups a bit better, but there was virtually no contest the whole game, so not much opportunity for hit-outs or contested possessions. Mackay injury and Kemp injury. So Mackay's a concussion, so he'll miss 1 week. Kemp was an Achilles, I think, and so he'll miss a season. I think Pitternet will play this week to give De Koning a chop out against North. Still think he can score all right this week, but we're going to want to assess this week by week now. What did he start at? He started at 550. Okay, so if he keeps putting up decent scores, you can probably hold him through to the bye where you might cash him in. We'll see. I'm not sure. He's got the first bye, so that's awkward, but yeah, we'll see. Boyd, I think Boyd has a chance to play this week. Marshall was looking very sore, and there were rumours about him playing this week anyway. We'll see. I don't expect him to play more than 5 games this year. So if he gets, a couple games over the next 2 weeks, that'd be mint. But, Jason Horton-Francis, 119. Yeah, he looked really good. Dangerous in the air, dangerous at ground level. Just looked switched on and interested this week. Makes a huge difference, right? So that was good to see. Was wrapped with that. Jack McRae got tagged, 70, whatever. We move. Everyone has him. If you're captain, pretty unlucky, but that's tough. I'm surprised they didn't actually tag Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller after halftime. He was the one doing all the damage, so yeah, that was interesting. And then Smith, 126, just Geelong is so good at using their players, and Smith just looks right at home in that Geelong team, just runs all day, gets to all these uncontested possessions. Kicking isn't great, but when you get that volume, it doesn't have to be. So yeah, Smith's really good. Daniel, I think Gold Coast are a good matchup for defenders. So yeah, maybe I will field trainer this week at Marvel. Anyway, side note. Yeah, Daniel, everyone has him. Very good. Marich, he's in that peroxide Prince role, I'm going to call it, where it's just a bloke in a WA side with bleached hair, just being an absolute kick-in farmer. Luke Ryan was a bit more than that, but, it's good I didn't own Luke Ryan at all last year, so getting these very unethical scores is pretty good. But I will say with Marich, I think he's going to... this isn't going to keep up for very long. He's scoring exclusively from kickouts, and he can't defend, so I don't know how long it lasts. I will say he is the only player on the West Coast team that takes off dangerous kicks that can result in scores. So maybe the coach wants to see that. I don't know. But I may cash him in next week. I'm really hoping he holds his spot this week, but I'm not sure he'll hold it past that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Humphrey over Marich in the long run will be a good decision. But yeah, Marich can't defend, so that is concerning. Davidson, 61. Lost a bit of rookie roulette here, but it is what it is. The Saints are a good matchup for wingers. But I think I'm going to cash Davidson in this week anyway, because I can't imagine he can score well against GWS. Then Port at Mars can't be good for wingers. So yeah, I'll look to move him on this week. Made a heap of cash. I think he's pretty much cashed out, so that's good. Sam Powell Pepper, 101. That was awesome to watch. I don't know, he dropped one mark early and I was like, oh, here we go again. But yeah, hit the scoreboard, was marking the ball much better after the early couple of blunders. Yeah, he was just really good. I think the emotion in this game really helped Horn-Francis and Powell Pepper. They just live for it. Butters as well. And Rosie, who we'll discuss when we talk about upgrade targets. And then Max Hall was solid. Just a solid player. He can keep ticking along. Break even of 25. I presume the Dogs are a decent matchup for him. So yeah, that was really good. And then Ashcroft has forward status now. Played a really good game at Nord. I was a bit concerned about this originally, but yeah, it was good to see him go a 90. All right, let's talk trade targets. So upgrade targets. The first one for me is Nick Dacos. He just went 130 on the hardest tag in the game. I have cash. I am getting him in. Pretty simple. I think Brisbane won't tag him. Essendon, I think, will let him run free. I don't think Atkins can keep up with him. Freo will let him do whatever he wants. And then Adelaide will be a soft matchup for him. So yeah, I'm just getting Dacos in. That's what I'm doing. There are some other targets I do like. So let's go into players and start with defenders. Is this price? No, yeah, highest price. So I think Sinclair's gone for now. Whitfield I would wait on. So obviously that ground wasn't great for Whitfield. Adelaide is probably a good matchup for him, as is the Dogs. But then he goes the Swans at SCG into Geelong at GMHBA. I think those are two tough matchups, and I'm going to look at getting him in round 10 after those matchups. Look at these projected. Like, even if he goes 125, 120 this week, and he beats the Jordan tag and has a quieter one against Geelong, he's going to be 570 after this Fremantle game. So that's what I'm liking the look of. I think he might actually get a little bit lower. Very concerned about this James Jordan tag on the SCG. I think if this was at NG, he would outwork Jordan, but because it's on another smaller ground, I'm backing Jordan in against Whitfield here. Sheasel, I think he will... He's not playing halfback anymore, so I think he'll come down a bit more, so I'm going to wait for him. The Dale trading I made is really biting me in the bum at the moment because it's limiting my flexibility with these round 12 bye players. He's not in the defenders yet, but if Rosie maintains that halfback role that I thought he looked genuinely good in, and he had all the attributes for, he was intercepting, getting contested possessions at halfback, kicking the ball really well. I think he kicked 2 goals, could have almost kicked 4, I think. So if Rosie keeps that role, which I also made a point of listening to his post-game interview, he said he used to play a tiny bit of halfback in juniors, and he hadn't played it since then. He also said that Ken floated the idea of him playing halfback this week early on in the week, and he wasn't sure week to week if he would play halfback. Now, he looked very good there. It was a bit of a stomping, that game. So I would like to see this against a team that's putting up more of a fight on match day before I make a judgment on this, but I'm very interested in Rosie. And this is coming from someone who wasn't interested in Rosie at all in the preseason. So Connor Rosie, definitely one to watch. Nas, this is probably the last week you want to get him in if you want to get him in. 3 games in a row at Marvel is pretty good. I think Fremantle at the end of last year were tough for defenders, but I have a feeling defenders are going all right against them this year. The Dogs, they definitely are. And then Brisbane's probably not an ideal matchup, but yeah, supremely talented. They're just getting him the ball whenever they can, and it's coming higher up the ground this year, which is why his scoring's improved, and that's why we've seen him go from probably a guy who averages 100 to a guy who's 105 to 110. So if you pick Nas, well done. He's looking like a great pick for the year. I don't know if I mentioned Flanders, but definitely waiting for him to come down before even thinking about him. Clark is interesting. He just gives you 100 to 105 every week. He just has to spike a couple scores really to be a good pick. So if you were that way inclined, then maybe Clark's your man. Holmes was nice to see a good game for Holmes after the rubbish tag last week. That did affect him, but didn't affect any part of the game whatsoever. So yeah, that was Holmes owners deserve that. So yeah, he's going really well. You could go there if you're interested. Definitely don't hate that. Luke Ryan, do not touch Luke Ryan. He is getting no rebound ball. The chip mark in the D50 is gone. Subbed this week is really unlucky, but do not touch Luke Ryan. I think he probably averages 85 this year, if I'm totally honest. Dale, just because of the bye, I wouldn't touch. Nick Martin's kind of interesting because he's got forward status. I think we've got some better forwards though this year, so wouldn't advise that. Ash is going really well, but no. Laird, no. Sicily, probably wait a little bit for James Sicily. Is there anyone else down here? I don't think so. So yeah, my main, if you're looking for a defender this week, I'd probably go Holmes. But I like Clark and Nass's options as well. Wouldn't pay up for any of these other guys at the moment. All right, let's go into the midfield. So as I said, Nick Dacos, number 1 for me. I think you could look at Sarong this week as well. Break-even's kind of low, has a very soft matchup, so I do like that. I'm pretty against paying 600k for anyone this year. I was looking forward to the rookies, and I can't see us getting too many, so I think we're going to be going into penny pinching mode pretty quickly early on. So I think being able to carry cash each week will assist with that. It's also why I'm looking to cull rookies, even if they haven't made too much money. I'm looking to get rid of them this week because I am concerned about cash gen down the line. So having the guys who are making money gives you better options because they're making more money. Who else do I like here? Could go Dunkley. What's the break even? 144. Give Dunkley a week. But yeah, we'll be looking at Dunkley. I don't love any of the Suns mids. And that's probably going to sound crazy given they're going 117, 115, and 118. Hear me out. They have had... Well, who did they play this week? Adelaide? No, that was earlier on. North. So they've had 4 soft matchups and Adelaide. Adelaide, I think, are okay to score on for midfielders this year. But they've had 3 extraordinarily soft matchups. This time last year, I think they were all averaging 130. So just to put that into perspective, they're 15 points down on last year with probably an easier run. Now, obviously that is I'm cherry picking stats here, but just keep that in mind. I think Noble and Rioli, not midfielders, I know, but they're getting a lot more ball off of halfback instead of Anderson and Miller. And I think that is what is limiting their ceilings a little bit. It is also worth noting that Humphrey's going through there a fair bit, taking some points. Miller, I wouldn't consider at all until he gets forward status. I love Took Miller, honestly, but if he gets forward status, he's a no-brainer. But I think as a midfielder, he probably goes 105 this year. So wouldn't be looking to upgrade there. The next ones that I like are Tom Green and Lockie Neal. So Lockie Neal has a 111 break even. Probably gets Windacre here. But then the fixture really opens up until round 14. So maybe give Neal a couple of weeks, I think. And then Tom Green I like. I don't see why you would tag Tom Green. He doesn't do that much damage. The issue with owning Green is he can sometimes be... He doesn't score points very quickly. So you don't watch a quarter and go like, oh, damn, Tom Green's on 45 at quarter time. That's massive. Like, he's just slowly getting there, sort of 30 every quarter. Not having that ceiling means that if you do have a poorer quarter, which Green can do because he is a clanger machine, means that he can be a very frustrating own. Still think he's a good pick. What's the fixture look like? Break even of 96. So this is your week if you want him. Like Bulldogs at Mars, that's got to be good. Swans has got to be good. Adelaide's probably good. Geelong at Goomba's got to be good. Like I think Tom Green's a good upgrade target this week. So yeah, really like Tom Green. Heaney is not for me, but could understand if you wanted Heaney. Dawson, I would wait 1 week on, but would have him firmly in your sights. Oh, and then LDU. LDU could have gone absolutely massive in this game. So I think I really like LDU this year, I think he's one of the few players who signs the contract and then looks like a weight's lifted off his shoulder and all of a sudden he's more interested in playing better. So could definitely not fault you for considering Luke Davies-Uniacke this week and in the next few weeks. And then Rosie I spoke about in the defenders. Very interested in Rosie if he keeps that role. Anyone else? Don't think so. Let's talk forwards. I think there's really only one that I want to discuss, which is Rankin, who, as I said earlier... So I think I'll talk about the key forwards first in Darcy and Thilthorpe. Thilthorpe went 65 this week. This is what key forwards do. They give you bad games. So if you wanted Darcy, I would probably wait for a 60 to 70 score. I don't think Darcy's a bad pick this year. I think he'll be around about top 6. So if you're that way inclined, you can go Darcy, but not this year. I don't quite like Thilthorpe as a keeper, but I mean, if you started him, he's made 80k from 370. It's not bad. So yeah, just wanted to touch on them quickly because they're interesting. I did speak about Nick Martin before. Rankin's the big one for mine. If you don't have him, I'd be considering it. Chad and Petrarca, you'd want to see a little bit more before you went there, I think. But I think Petrarca, he'll start scoring at some point, I think. It's just a matter of when that happens. It won't be this week. But I'd be keeping an eye on Petrarca. He should be able to give us 105, realistically. So, yeah, I think that's it for my forward targets for this week. Dylan Moore, I don't think he's going to play enough mid-time, so that's why I don't like Moore. All right, let's get into trades. So, at this stage, I am doing this. Henderson out because he's not going to make any money. Davidson out because I think he's fully cashed up. I am boosting. So I don't know which way I'm going to go. I'm going to do Nevitt for now. I think this could definitely burn me. But I've had enough of Chris Scott. Let's get him in. So Cleary and Gross. I would assume that a large portion of the competition is trading in these exact players. And I would guess that a lot would be moving on Davidson. So if you had Murphy Reid or Connor O'Sullivan, they're great options to cash in as well. Murphy Reid's got an easy matchup this week, but he's had a couple of ceiling games and he's made a lot of cash. I think you would be well within your rights to move him on this week. If Nevitt holds and Hall is dropped, I will hold Nevitt over Hall, I think. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, this is how I will line up on field this week. We're going to do this. Reid or... Reid against West Coast for sure. Yep, that's fine. And we're going to take Pal Pepper against Sydney. This is going to go bad, isn't it? He's had two good games in a row. Oh, he's only scoring at home. Okay. Might take Max Holden. He's got higher projected, although that matters. Anyway, interesting. So, how I'm going to line up for this week. I have 1, 2... Oh, do I want Gross on field instead of Hall? I think I do. I love when DPP comes through. Just gives you so much more flexibility. No, let's do this. So I think I'm going to line up like this week. Gross has an easier matchup than Hall, but this is probably rookie roulette. If Nevitt and Hall both get... Oh, no, I can't use him as a loop. Whatever. So yeah, this is how I'm going to line up for this week. I'll actually leave that there. Captains. I should do captains. So if you have a Freo mid, lock and load. I would go the VC because I think Tom Sparrow is going to tag for at least a quarter before we're down 10 goals at quarter time. So I would be using the VC on a Melbourne player. For the C this week, where would I like to go? I could go Bailey Dale, but I think that's probably not something that I love. I did have one worked out here. Oh, McRae against the Dogs. Revenge McRae. So yeah, this is how I'm going to go for this week. I think you could consider Zorko. You could also consider Dale. Dale's probably a better VC. I don't know how many C options there are in this game. I wouldn't see Stewart or Holmes, I think, so probably none. Who else do I really like? I think you could go Dacos. I just think the ceiling... I want to use the VC on Brayshaw because I think the ceiling is massive, and I think McRae's a safe ceiling, so that's why I'm going this way. If you had Zach Merritt, you could definitely go there in this game. I don't mind Tom Green this week here, or Whitfield as well. There's another one. Any Gold Coast mid, obviously, in this game is going to be good. And then I like McRae in this game. I think Dale's probably fine, but that's a level of risk I'm not willing to take. Yeah, you could probably go Richards if you had as well. That would be a pod option, but yeah. And then, oh, you could do Smith against Hawthorn if you wanted to go like Dale into Smith or something. I think Dale went like 160 on the Saints last year, so yeah, 175. So yeah, hopefully a bounce back game for Bailey Dale. But yeah, that's how I'm lining up this week. That's how I went. Let me know how you went in the comments below. Let me know what your trades are. And we will see you next week. See you guys.